As FOMO swirled around the minds of the ignorant, you must be wary of the 5 Bitcoin ETF traps that lay before millennial debt. Because if you're not careful, you may find yourself in a dark pit with no way out. 6 full trading days after the Bitcoin ETF was approved, the ETFs collectively accumulated 95,000 Bitcoin, with AUM, assets under management, approaching $4 billion. The battle is lost. The war is lost. But the traps are still there, and we talked about the biggest one in our last video with Coinbase. So to be brief, if the ETFs were one of your friends, then they will put your Bitcoin elsewhere. 8 of the Bitcoin ETFs have Coinbase as their custodian. Coinbase is the bank where they are keeping all your Bitcoins. For any family looking to do a heist, they're not going to the ETFs. They'll target Coinbase. And if Coinbase gets hacked, then what'll happen is you're gonna be working as a senior at Walmart. To avoid this risk, I always suggest buying your Bitcoin and then immediately transferring it to a hardware wallet. That's how you're gonna keep your Bitcoin safe. Now, if you don't know how to do so, then I have made videos about how to safe keep your Bitcoin using a ledger and a keystone, and you can find those videos in the description below after this video. Now, while we're on the topic of seniors, let's talk about retirement. Now, Transamerica reported that 24% of millennial workers withdrew from their retirement accounts during the pandemic. So let's run a scenario where you bought the Bitcoin ETF and you bought it in your 401k. Now, you're in need of money. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna think about withdrawing this. Hard to write backwards, but you're gonna withdraw the money from your Bitcoin ETF after selling it, and you're gonna draw that money to your bank. So what happens is if you are under 59 and a half, if you withdraw this, then you're going to pay the US government 10%, a 10% penalty. So let's say you made $10,000 off that Bitcoin ETF. You're gonna give the US government $1,000, 10%, if you're under the age of 59 and a half. Compared to if you held your Bitcoin yourself, you'd pay no penalty whatsoever if you withdrew that Bitcoin and used it. And that's the second trap. So the third trap follows closely. So let's say you have the Bitcoin ETF and you sell it. Well, you'll be subject to income tax. Unless you're actually bought it in a Roth 401k, then all the gains are yours. You don't have to pay anything. The fourth trap. So by now we know that the Bitcoin market is manipulated by the institutions. They will do whatever it takes to artificially make market crashes. And that will spook a lot of you to sell your Bitcoin. And many will sell at the wrong time. And to make it worse, with the Bitcoin ETFs, your Bitcoin is actually part of the system. That means your account could be frozen and you may not be able to leave with your money if you end up on the most wanted list. The fifth and final trap are the fees. So we all know that Bitcoin earns no interest. So how is the Bitcoin ETF going to make any money? Well, the only way they're going to make money is to trade. According to Bard, as high as 95% of Bitcoin traders actually lose money. Yet Bitcoin ETF fees are as high as 0.2 to 1.5%. And for me, I'll take VTI's 0.03% over BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, which has fees of 0.25% any day of the week. Remember, Bitcoin was meant to free us from the corrupt financial system. The Bitcoin ETF, on the other hand, is meant to keep us as slaves in this financial system. $4 billion have flowed so far into the Bitcoin ETFs, which includes the 5 traps that we talked about today. If you've invested in the Bitcoin ETF, it's not about you being responsible or careful. It's about Coinbase being responsible and careful. Because if they're not and they lose everything, you're dead. So picture this, you're 67 and you're about to retire. All your money is in Bitcoin ETFs. Coinbase gets hacked and drained. The price of the Bitcoin ETF goes to 0 and you spend the rest of your days working at Walmart. Now, I'll be real with you. BlackRock and the other institutions probably have risk mitigation strategies, so the chance of this happening is slim, but it is not 0. Are you still willing to take the risk?